I straightened the collar of my $30 second-hand suit jacket as I slipped into my shadowy corner at Hermes Technologies' weekly meeting in Seattle. My sister Cassandra. She looked right through me, too busy flaunting her gleaming Tag Heuer watch and bragging about her precious achievements to her adoring fans. Just secured a $450 million government contract this morning, she announced with barely contained smugness to the circle of admiring executives. Third major deal this quarter. Pretty impressive for someone just hitting 35. I sipped my black coffee, concealing the knowing smile that threatened to break my carefully crafted facade. If only they had the slightest clue. If they could see beyond appearances and realize that their overlooked software engineer had been the actual architect behind those very contracts, meticulously designing systems and feeding Cassandra just enough technical specifications to let her inflated ego carry the presentations. I'm Julian Parker. Most people at Hermes know me as Jay Peterson, the unassuming coder from the basement development team. What they don't know is that I'm also the founder and CEO of Quantum Horizon Labs, a cutting-edge AI research firm that has consistently outperformed Hermes for 7 consecutive years in patent applications and technological breakthroughs. Peterson. Cassandra's sharp voice yanked me from my thoughts. Those security protocols better be on my desktop by noon. And try not to overcomplicate them this time. I gave a deferential nod. Yes, Ms. Parker. A decade ago, I might have fired back, but I've since discovered the strategic advantage in being underestimated. It all began 10 years ago in this very conference room. I was 23, fresh from MIT's computer science program, brimming with innovative ideas and untested algorithms. The future of technology isn't in proprietary systems but in adaptive learning frameworks, I explained to my Aunt Victoria, then CEO of the firm. It's about creating platforms that evolve with user needs, not just static applications. Spare us the academic theories, Cassandra interrupted with a dismissive wave. Why don't you stick to debugging code? That's what we actually pay you for. Aunt Victoria chuckled. Your father used to talk like that too. And we all remember where that got him. My father, Robert Parker, died when I was 15. The family labeled him the idealistic dreamer for wanting to create accessible technology rather than pursuing lucrative defense contracts. In reality, he was days away from completing a revolutionary AI framework when a heart attack struck him down at his desk. That meeting marked my turning point. I realized I'd never be taken seriously as long as I carried the Parker name in that environment. That evening, I transferred my entire savings of $42,000 into establishing Quantum Horizon Labs, a name designed to carry my father's vision into reality. My mentor, Professor Li Wei from MIT, was the only one who truly believed in me. Let them dismiss you, he would say with quiet wisdom. The underestimated have the advantage of surprise. Brilliant man. For appearances, I maintained my junior position at Hermes Technologies. But every evening in my modest studio apartment in Capitol Hill, I was building something revolutionary. The first year nearly destroyed me, 100-hour weeks divided between worlds. Coding by day, pioneering AI architectures by night. I took my father's unfinished framework for a neural network that could adapt to human emotional responses and modernized it. The initial algorithms were unstable, but I persisted. Eventually, I identified patterns in human-computer interaction that everyone else had overlooked. While Cassandra bragged about installing a custom home automation system in her lakefront mansion, I was directing precise innovations through Quantum Horizon. Within 8 months, our first predictive algorithm outperformed every benchmark. I lived like a graduate student, reinvested every penny, and maintained my invisibility. Quantum Horizon flourished, but no one, not Cassandra, not Aunt Victoria, knew who stood behind it. I assembled a team of brilliant outliers, former academics, coding prodigies, ethical hackers, individuals who wanted to transform technology, not just profit from it. One morning, Marcus from IT leaned over my cubicle partition. Did you hear about Quantum Horizon acquiring DataSync? Everyone's saying it's the AI acquisition of the decade. I glanced up from my deliberately cluttered desk, scattered with printed code segments and strategically disorganized reference manuals. Really? I've been buried in these security implementations. He laughed. You've been here for 10 years, Jay. You could at least ask for an office with a window. I shrugged with practiced indifference. I like the quiet down here. But I was succeeding beyond my wildest dreams. While they chased industry accolades, I was reshaping artificial intelligence and machine learning paradigms from behind my carefully constructed facade. I could have purchased a penthouse in downtown Seattle or driven luxury cars, but instead, I kept my used Subaru and sat silently through meetings where Aunt Victoria once declared that Peterson might learn something from Quantum Horizons founder Alexander Quinn. Now that's innovation. She even displayed the MIT Technology Review with his cover feature. I'd given that interview remotely from my home office using voice-altering software and a carefully crafted digital avatar. Dual identities. One truth. And maintaining the charade was becoming increasingly challenging. My apartment may have appeared modest, but it concealed a sophisticated operation. Few would have imagined the hidden room behind the bookcase, equipped with advanced servers, quantum computing prototypes, and soundproof walls for secure video conferences. My sick days at Hermes invariably coincided with Quantum Horizons executive meetings. I even maintained two entirely separate digital identities. Julian Parker used basic consumer technology and outdated programming tools, while Alexander Quinn worked with custom interfaces and cutting-edge equipment, reserved for those rare occasions when the CEO needed to make virtual appearances. The double existence was exhausting. Some days I fantasized about walking into Cassandra's glass-walled office, uploading my actual code to the main server, and revealing my true identity just to witness their stunned expressions. But I understood better. Innovation isn't merely about revelation, it's about timing. And that moment was approaching rapidly. Just last week, Cassandra burst into the development floor, practically vibrating with excitement. "We're finalizing the biggest defense integration in company history," she announced breathlessly. Neural defense systems. $8 billion. The contract of a lifetime. She had no idea that Quantum Horizon owned the core patents for neural defense key technologies, and the integration wouldn't proceed without Alexander Quinn's explicit approval. For 10 years, I'd watched Cassandra climb higher by claiming others' innovations. I didn't seek revenge, I sought realignment. A quiet one. Precise and elegant. The final meeting was scheduled for Thursday. Cassandra, Aunt Victoria, and the entire executive team would gather, eagerly anticipating their first encounter with the enigmatic Alexander Quinn. Little did they know he had been coding their security protocols for a decade. I checked my watch. Time for another performance. I gathered my deliberately disorganized files and adjusted my worn jacket with its fading elbows. "Peterson," Cassandra called out. "Where are those protocols?" "Just finishing them now, Ms. Parker," I replied, keeping my voice even. 3 more days. A decade of patience. Working in shadows had led to this pivotal moment. That Thursday morning, I entered the office as J. Peterson one final time. Aaron combed. Shoes scuffed at the heels. Invisible to everyone who mattered. Marcus rushed past my desk. "Can you believe it? We're finally meeting Alexander Quinn today." I smiled behind my monitor. "Oh, Marcus, indeed you are." I nodded, barely containing the smirk pulling at my lips. "I hear he's quite perceptive." Cassandra was already parading through the office like she owned half of Silicon Valley, her new designer suit practically gleaming under the LED lighting. "Alexander Quinn is going to be impressed by our infrastructure," she declared, loud enough for the entire floor to hear. "This integration is going to redefine Hermes." If she only knew. At 9:30, I casually stood and closed my laptop. "Ms. Parker," I called out, just audibly enough for her to notice. "I need to take a sick day. Migraine coming on." She didn't even look up from her tablet. "Whatever. Just make sure those protocols are uploaded." Instead of heading to the lobby, I keyed into the elevator's restricted executive floor, straight to the private office I'd leased through a shell corporation. Within 45 minutes, J. Peterson ceased to exist. In his place stood Alexander Quinn, Quantum Horizons' formidable founder. Gone were the messy hair and bargain suit. My tailored graphite suit accentuated every deliberate line, my appearance precise and commanding, my presence undeniable. The integration meeting was scheduled for 2 p.m. At 1:50, I stood behind one-way glass, watching them file into the main conference room. Cassandra looked like a politician before a major speech. Aunt Victoria checked her watch impatiently. My phone vibrated. Message from my operations director. "Virtual systems ready. Private entrance secured." I took a deep breath, centering myself in memory. My father's words echoed, technology should empower, not intimidate. Build systems that elevate humanity. At exactly 2 o'clock, I stepped through the executive entrance. A wave of silence crashed through the room. Chairs shifted. Eyes widened. Several jaws visibly dropped. Ladies and gentlemen, I said, voice steady and authoritative. Shall we begin? Cassandra leapt to her feet. Mr. Quinn, we've been eagerly anticipating the neural defense integration. I moved past her outstretched hand. Yes, I'm well aware of your technical objectives. Aunt Victoria leaned forward, smiling. We've prepared an extensive demonstration. I placed my carbon fiber portfolio on the table and took the seat at the head. That won't be necessary. I've already examined your system's architecture. I paused deliberately. In fact, I've been studying Hermes Technologies operations for quite some time now. Cassandra's smile twitched. Your insights on our development pipeline are revealing, I said, letting the word hang in the air. Particularly the aspect about claiming credit for others' innovations and suppressing talent that threatens your position. That's not leadership. It's technological stagnation disguised as corporate strategy. The room grew still. The climate control hummed in the sudden silence. I don't understand, Cassandra stammered, her voice suddenly brittle. Hermes has always operated with the highest ethical standards. Really? I opened the slim portfolio before me, sliding a set of documents across the table. Like when you claimed credit for the quantum encryption protocol that was actually developed by a junior engineer. Or when you deliberately blocked promotions for developers who identified vulnerabilities in your pet projects. Aunt Victoria had grown ashen. Mr. Quinn, I can assure you. Don't, I said firmly, raising a hand. Save it for someone who hasn't spent the last decade inside your organization. Their confusion fractured into something deeper. Realization, slow, creeping, undeniable. And then Aunt Victoria's eyes widened in horrified recognition. No, she breathed. It can't be. I smiled calmly, removing the glasses I'd worn as a disguise all these years. Hello, Aunt Victoria, I turned to Cassandra. Surprised to see your basement coder sitting at this end of the table? She blinked rapidly. Jay, you can't possibly be. Alexander Quinn? I said, settling back in my chair with measured composure. Founder and CEO of Quantum Horizon Labs? Indeed. For the past decade, while you were busy ignoring the quiet engineer from the basement, I was building one of the most innovative technology firms in the industry. Around the table, executives stared. Some were stunned into silence. Others were visibly impressed. This is some kind of elaborate joke, Cassandra muttered. Be careful, I said evenly, locking eyes with her. You're about to insult the person who can terminate your $8 billion integration with a single command. That silenced her. I opened a second folder. Now let's discuss what happens next. Quantum Horizon would not approve the integration. Not in its current form. You can't do this, Aunt Victoria said, finding her voice. The shareholders will be fascinated by the internal practices of this firm, I countered. Unless we negotiate a better arrangement. For the next hour, I outlined my terms, complete restructuring. Cassandra and Victoria would step down. Promotions based on merit, not family connections. You engineered this whole situation? Victoria whispered. I shook my head. No. I earned this. I've been building something meaningful for a decade, I said quietly. This isn't revenge. It's evolutionary pressure. They filed out of the conference room, deflated. Cassandra lingered by the doorway. Why? She asked, her voice stripped of arrogance. Why stay here pretending to be Jay? I met her eyes directly for the first time in years. Because to transform a broken system, you must understand it from the inside. Everything about Quantum Horizon emerged from witnessing what not to do. The next morning, headlines erupted across every technology publication. Reclusive CEO Alexander Quinn revealed as Jay Peterson, engineer at Hermes Technologies. Strategic acquisition complete. The market responded enthusiastically. Quantum Horizon stock surged 30% in a single day. People were captivated by the narrative of a billionaire who built his empire from a basement workstation, a phantom hiding in plain sight. I kept my old nameplate, Jay Peterson, systems engineer, on the corner of my new desk, now positioned in the top floor office of what was formerly Hermes Technologies headquarters. Marcus visited last week, still processing the revelation. All those times I told you to ask for a promotion, he said, shaking his head in disbelief. I laughed. Consider yourself advanced. I need people who believe in Jay, not just Alexander. Cassandra and Aunt Victoria quietly retired to pursue other opportunities. Cassandra is apparently writing a book about emerging technology trends. I doubt it will reflect actual innovation, but at least she's finally researching her own material. As for me, I finally upgraded my wardrobe. But the old suit jacket, the frayed one, hangs behind my office door. A reminder that titles and wealth mean nothing without purpose. The company is thriving now. When you stop promoting people based on family connections and start rewarding genuine innovation, remarkable transformations happen. We launched a mentorship program for overlooked developers, people like me. Once invisible. Last night, I passed a testing lab and overheard a young engineer presenting a brilliant proposal on quantum neural interfaces. Cassandra would have dismissed her outright. Wrong background, wrong degree. Instead, she's now leading our new human-computer interaction division. You recognize something in my approach, she said quietly after her promotion. No, I replied. I recognized you. Sometimes that's all anyone needs, someone who sees beyond appearances. As for the integration, we approved a restructured version, one that preserved integrity, prioritized innovation, and genuinely reflected the kind of company we were becoming. Technology journalists called it a masterclass in strategic patience. I called it evolution. My father's vintage drafting table now occupies the corner of my new office, restored and gleaming in the morning light. It's the same table he once used in his garage startup before they branded him a failure. I keep two nameplates side by side, Alexander Quinn, CEO, and Jay Peterson, engineer. Both are authentic aspects of who I am. Both matter. Just like innovation, it doesn't always announce itself or arrive through conventional channels. When people ask if I regret those 10 years of hiding, I consider the wisdom they provided. Every dismissive comment taught me empathy. Every time my ideas were ignored, I learned how to amplify others. Every bit of disregard became motivation. So no, I wouldn't change a thing. Sometimes the most transformative technologies are developed in silence by people no one bothered to notice. And honestly, the expression on Cassandra's face when she realized who I truly was made every debugged error and late night in the server room worthwhile. Justice doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it enters quietly and takes its rightful place at the head of the innovation table. If my journey resonates with you, share your thoughts below. Tell me about a time when you were underestimated but persevered anyway. Because I understand what it feels like to be overlooked, condescended to, and told to remain in your assigned place. But I also know what it means to rise silently, to build in obscurity, and to let your achievements speak more eloquently than their doubt ever could. If you believe in supporting those no one saw coming, follow this channel. Comment. Share this narrative. Help others recognize that not all success arrives with fanfare. Sometimes it emerges after years of resilience, dignity, and patience. And if you're currently in a phase of being disregarded, take heart. Use this time wisely. Study the flaws in the system. Learn, evolve, and build your foundation, one quiet line of code at a time. One day they'll look up and realize they should have been paying attention all along. Because sometimes the most powerful statement is to simply become everything they said you couldn't. And when that day arrives, I'll be cheering for you from the summit.